It's Tina and I am back, and I am here with another makeup tutorial featuring this neutral look with a very shimmery cut crease. And I really love how this turned out, and I paired it with a fall inspired lip that is new from Makeup Forever. It's one of their new liquid lipstick shades. And I love this color. It's so perfect with my hair color. Oh yeah, and you guys have seen this hair color by now. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about this look here, which I accomplished using two Tarte palettes. I used the Make Believe in Yourself palette and the Clay Play palette, which is a all matte neutral palette with contour shades included. And I grabbed one of my Feather River body cream shadows, which I have so many of her. I bought the full bundle of her cream shadows, and I have so many eyeshadows from her. Let me show you. These are her large eyeshadow palettes, which you can buy separately from her website. Look at these shades, so pretty. Here is another one that I know you guys are gonna go crazy about. Oh my god. I have so many of her shades. I literally have 4 of these palettes. And I used one of her cream shadows, but I want to do a video dedicated to her eyeshadows. It would be a crazy swatch fest to do, but I will definitely invest the time if you guys want to see that video. It would take me some time to do, but if you guys want to see it, I definitely think she's worth checking out. She's still kind of a relative unknown, like people are slowly discovering her, but she hasn't blown up on YouTube, and I want to introduce you to her line because she's such a sweet person. She even offered to give me a discount code for you guys if you wanted to make a purchase. It's featherriverbody.com, and my discount code is thefancyface15 to save 15% off your purchase. It's not an affiliate code, it's just the discount code for you guys. And I asked her if I could use somebody else's discount code, if that was a conflict of interest, if I could just use that person's code when I mentioned her products to you guys. And she was like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll give you your own code. And I'm like, oh, perfect. So definitely check her out. And if you do say hi to her, tell her I sent you. But let's go ahead and jump into this look. Alright guys, so as usual, I'm starting off with a clean, freshly washed face. And I already filled in my eyebrows and applied my concealer under my brows like I normally do. And now I'm going in with my eyeshadow primer, which is the Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer. And I'm using the shade Light today. They have different skin tone shades, light, medium, and deep. And I say, hey, let me go ahead and try the light. It's a very creamy, light beige color. And I'll just buff that over my skin using my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease brush. This is going to act as our eyeshadow primer. And it's going to also help to intensify the shades because it is a lighter base. And that helps to pick up colors, even though we're doing very neutral colors today. Now I'm going to grab this palette here from Tarte. It's the Clay Play Face Shapen Palette. And you're like, what? I haven't heard many people talk about this. This is an all matte neutral eyeshadow palette with contour shades for your face. So you can use it for your eyeshadow, you can use it for your eyebrows, and you can also use it to shape your face. So I really like this palette, and I like that it's an all matte palette because I just love an all matte palette anyway. And as you can tell, there are colors for a neutral look, a warm tone look, and a more cool tone look. So there are different options for whatever look you're going for. Before I get that started, let me just go in with a little bit of moisturizer. I forgot to apply that. I mean, I already did my brows, so it's nothing to apply a little bit of moisturizer. I'm just using my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. And I just apply moisturizer literally on around my mouth and on my cheek area, and then I use whatever is left and apply it to my forehead. And since I'm going to apply eyeshadow, this is gonna get some time to fully absorb into my skin. I completely avoid my nose, like no. Too greasy for anything. Now for the very first shade, I think I'm going to go in with the shade Instinct. This shade is the only one that seems to have a little bit of like micro shimmer in it, but it's not a shimmer shade. It just has a little bit, like very minute micro shimmer, and I'm using that to set my crease area. using windshield wiper motions just to apply that and set everything in place. Then I'm going to pick up this cool tone shade. This is the shade Journey from the palette on my Eddie Funkhouser blending brush. I feel like these brushes, I've gotten new ones since my last 3 that I had, but I feel like they take some time to soften up. Like my older ones are so much softer than my newer ones. So if you do purchase these, I did get a discount code from Eddie. It's not a affiliate code, but you can pick these brushes up on his website. The discount code is fancyface20, and I'll leave that below. So in case you wanted to check them out, you can get 20% off your entire purchase. But I feel like you need to wash them a couple of times for them to really soften up. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade Ember. This is more of a caramelly brown. Same brush and just building up dimension. I am going for a very simple neutral look, as you can tell from the beginning. So it's nothing too intense, nothing too crazy. I'm just building up a little bit of dimension. And I've liked the Tarte matte shades for a while now, since they improved the formula and switched it over to this new vanilla scent formula. I feel like they work a little bit better. It's the same kind of formula as their Tartelette palettes. So the Tartelette in Bloom, the original Tartelette, that's the kind of formula that I really enjoy, even the Tartelette Pro. I think the matte shades in those palettes are some of the best from Tarte. Now let's see, I'm gonna go into the shade Smoke, which is more of a neutral gray toned shade. It's a deeper shade. It's not really like a really dark black, but it is going to give us some depth because it is a richer tone. And I'll just buff that into that outer crease area. I'm using just back and forth circular motions, and then I'll go with windshield wiper motions to blend everything in, and I'll wipe off the excess off my brush on a washcloth that's in my lap, and then just use the same brush just to go around and blend. Then I'm gonna pick up this shade. This is Timber. It's one of the contour shades, and I'm being kind of free-handed with this. I'm not really trying to be precise because you can be a little bit messy at this point because we're not cutting a crease. We're just diffusing color, building it up, and blowing it out so we get that nice gradient. So nothing too focused at this point. So I'm going back in with a clean Eddie Funkhouser brush and going around the brow bone because I got a little bit of extra product there that we don't want. So you can just go back with a clean brush to help clean up some of your blending. Now I really want to build up the depth, so I'm going to get Onyx, which is the matte black, but I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of smoke to tame that black a little bit. And this is a Anastasia Beverly Hills A25 small blending brush, and I'm really going to now concentrate on keeping that color lower on the outer V, using very small circular motions to build that color up, but I'm not blowing it all the way into the crease at this point. I'll pick it up and just slowly build it up because I do want to get a little bit of smoky effect, but I don't want to carry it too far into that brow bone crease area. So I'm really concentrating it right on the outer V. Once we have the color down, I'll go back in with the large crease brush from Eddie Funkhouser and just go around the edges to really make sure we have a seamless blend. I'm going to clean up the shape just a little bit with a makeup wipe, just to make sure we have a crisp edge, but nothing too sharp, you know? I just want to clean up any of that extra product. And then I'll go in with a detail brush. This is the MAC 242, which is a flat shape, and really create that line. Really make sure it's nice and sharp. And what I'll do is grab the Smoke shade and the Onyx shade and just flick them inwards. So you see the shape is there. I'm just building up a little bit more intensity. And then I'll go back in and of course blend it out so it's not too harsh, but I still want that defined outer line. Now we're gonna go ahead and get some shimmer on. I'm grabbing this cream eyeshadow from Feather River Body, and she was kind enough to give me a discount code. It's thefancyface 15 for 15% off your order. I mean, I've just been loving her products. I reached out to her because I wanted to use Ripley's code, and I asked, like, I don't just want to give out somebody's code. So I asked her, first of all, if it was okay, and then I would ask Ripley if it was okay for me to share her code, because I picked up so many shadows from her during her sale, and I wanted to share them with you guys. So I was like, all right, it would be great if I could give you guys a discount code. So I reached out to her, and she's been very nice to me. Her name is Heather, and she's just been very sweet. She comments on pictures. She responds to comments on her photos. Like, she's just a great owner, and she's pressing these eyeshadows herself. And I mean, she has such a crazy variety. I'll show you in a bit, like, how many shadows I have from her. And I was gonna use her eyeshadows today, but I couldn't pick. So I'm like, you know what? Let me save that for another day. But if you wanted to pick up any of her products, it's the Fancy Face 15, and this shade is Vibrant Madness. And I know she had these in a set, which is how I ordered mine. I ordered them in a complete set, and I'm just using, wow, these set really quickly too. So wait, I was talking way too long anyway. This is, again, one of the Eddie Funkhouser brushes. Wow, Heather. All right, Heather, excuse me. These cream eyeshadows are beautiful. They're shimmery. Look at that. Like, it gave me a precise line so I could, like, do a cut crease. And they're shimmery by themselves. Like, I could leave this by itself and they set down. I can barely budge them right now. Like, see? I'm just blending out the edges, so they do blend, but they set in place, so you wouldn't have to worry about them if you have oily lids, which I do. This is really beautiful. I think she did a really good job with these. Really love that. So that's what I have on my lid. And then I'm gonna grab this palette here, also from Tarte. This is the Make Believe in Yourself palette. I don't know if this was limited edition or if they just made it permanent. I'm not sure, but this is what I'm using. It's filled with shimmery shades, so I'm gonna get some Smashbox primer water, get a little bit into the cap of it, and I'm gonna use the same concealer brush from Eddie Funkhouser, and I think I'm gonna use the shade Trance, which is like a taupey bronze shade. Because of the formula, it creates sort of a cream when you dampen it, so it's really good. And I'm using that on the outer lid now, so it's gonna transition between more of a yellow bronze to more of a brownie bronze on the inner and outer lid. And this is almost exactly like the cream eyeshadows. Wow. So the cream eyeshadows are definitely a great way to go, or you can dampen some of your shimmer shades to get the same kind of effect. And I'm just using the concealer brush to really get the definition in the outline for the cut crease. This is like an easy cheat way to do a cut crease. Alright, now that we have that, which I am loving, can you even? Now, if this doesn't transfer, I'm going to be even more impressed. Like, I would be very happy. So I'm going back into the palette, grabbing the Smoke and the Onyx shade, which are the black and the deep brown, or the gray brown, on a Sonia Kashuk, what is this? The large crease brush, the 116, and just buffing against the edge of the shimmer shades now. Because I want to blend those two colors together. Like, we don't want to line. Like, no, we got to fade it and blend it so it looks like, hey, she was blending, right? And I'm just pushing this color into the outer crease and just going back and forth. Very lightly, nothing too crazy, because I don't want to pull the shimmer into the matte. I want the matte shades to still stay very matte. And this brush is one of my favorites. I know one of my very loyal subscribers. Her name is D Sham here on YouTube. She's been commenting left and right. Please do a favorite brushes video. And you know what, girl? I am going to do that for you, but give me a little bit of time. I will do that though. But if you watch any of my videos, if you watch my makeup tutorials, you can probably tell which brushes are my favorite, because I use them over and over and I have multiples of them. So I'm just using this brush, which is a stiffer brush, so it will deposit color and move it a little bit more intensely, or like move it around better than a fluffy blending brush. So yeah, that's the, ooh, I really like that. Now let's go ahead and do some quick brow highlights. So I'm going to use the shade Sand, which is the second lighter shade in the palette, the second lightest, right? Pop that right under the brow using my MAC 252 large shader brush. That seems like it even has a little bit of a sheen to it, which I can appreciate. It's not coming off as a flat matte, and that's really pretty actually. It reminds me of the Mirage eyeshadow from Makeup Geek. It's a very pretty shade. Now let's do some inner tear duct highlight. I'm going in with something very intense. I'm using this Touch in Soul Metalist Liquid Foil and Glitter Shadow Duo. The shade I'm using is number 3 Talia, and I'm just gonna pop a little bit of the cream side right on that inner tear duct, which it's very intense. Let me grab my little Eddie Funkhouser shadow brush and blend that out a little bit. It's gonna ruin my cut crease. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna try to make sure I blend out this so it doesn't too interfere with the cut crease shape that we have. So I'm gonna really try to fade out the edges of this color. And then I'll grab the glitter side. Okay, let's hope this doesn't make too much of a mess. It has like a little plastic paddle thing, which I guess because of the formula they used it, but I don't really like it because it doesn't really pick up the product that well. Guess for what it's worth, it does enough. I'm gonna spritz the little shadow brush from Eddie Funkhouser and try to make sure that's pressed in because I don't want that going all over the place. Because it is a little bit of a flaky shimmer. It's not a little bit, it is. So let's go ahead and do some face. I think I'm actually going to just use this Too Faced Peach Collection situation that they have going on. I wasn't going to pick this up, but this was one of my last purchases. So this is the Primed and Peachy Cool & Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. Going to get a little bit of this. This is a peach tone primer. And does it say, I'll check the ingredients in a second. It has glycerin in it, starch, talc. I thought it was going to be more dimethicone base. Okay, it does have dimethicone, but it's not the first ingredient. The first ingredient is water, of course, but the second ingredient is glycerin, which is interesting. And the fact that it has talc as well, you know how people apply powder before foundation for that matte, long-lasting effect? That talc in this is going to help with that mattifying effect. And I wore this once so far. Okay, the pump is not... I just bought this. Like, why is it not... Okay, there we go. I used this once so far, and I actually really liked it for my oily skin. It does feel mattifying, but it's not tightening at all. Like, it doesn't feel drying. But I'm sure on oily skin it's the best thing, but on dry skin it's probably going to feel a lot different. It does smell like peach. I have glitter on my face, so I'm just using a piece of scotch tape to pick that up. It does smell lightly of peaches, but it's more like a fruity peach and not like a candy peach, which I don't mind. It doesn't linger too much, but you do get that scent. So if you're sensitive to smells and you don't like a peachy scent, it's a very light first scent, so I don't mind it. Then I'm grabbing the Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. Again, infused with peach and sweet fig cream. The shade I got was Mocha, which is the second darkest shade. And there are not a ton of shades in this collection. And me being the second darkest shade when I'm not even that dark is interesting to me. And you know what? That is par for the course for a lot of lines. I tend to be, if I'm not the darkest shade, I'm the second to darkest. And with Fenty Beauty coming out with 40 shades and catering to a ton of darker skin tones, a lot of these lines are like trying to say that they're catering to darker skin tones now, and they're not. They're still not. They're still not considering deep dark skin. And to be fair, they're still not considering ultra light skin either. And not just ultra light skin, but ultra light skin with different undertones. Like, what if a light skinned girl is not, or guy, is not pink? Then what? And what if a dark girl is not red? So the undertone situation is where I think Fenty Beauty really showed the market, hey, we need to do better. And I'm happy about the Fenty Beauty launch, that it's opening eyes, and people are realizing that guess what, diversity needs to happen. As far as this foundation goes, people are asking me to try it out, and like I said, I really wasn't going to pick anything up from the line, and I'm glad I did. After I got a comment that was asking me about it, I was like, no, and then I went in store and I'm like, all right. I swatched it, I felt it, and then I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Not expecting anything. If it's not great, I'll bring it back. But I like the foundation. I like the primer. I like how it works on my oily skin. The coverage, though, is, I would call it a light medium coverage. It's not really full coverage. It's not covering everything. It's not giving me a flawless look to my skin. It's more like a amped up tinted product, which I don't mind. I actually really like controlled coverage on my skin. I don't like to look heavy or feel cakey, and with matte foundations, which this is touting to be a comfort matte, it can get heavy and cakey quick. So I like that it's not like overly pigmented. It's not giving me full coverage, but I know some people like full coverage, so just be mindful that this is not necessarily going to give you full coverage. I say that, and then I'm picking up one of the matte sticks from Fenty Beauty. This is the shade Cocoa. Wait, maybe that's a little bit too dark. Let's try the shade Suede. Okay, there we go. This I'm using as almost a concealer or a foundation on my cheeks where I feel like I didn't get enough coverage from the foundation, and I'll just go over it with the Fenty Beauty sponge, which I like. A lot of people, I guess they're not a lot, but they're mixed feelings about the sponge. I like it, so there's that. And I'm using it dry. I'm not even dampening it and pressing out the product. I have to be careful with this product though, because it can get, like, it can show up on your skin separate and apart from the rest of the product. So I do have to make sure that I blend it out. Now let that sit on my skin for a little bit while we go and finish up the eyes with some mascara. This is my Too Faced Better Than Sex. And then of course on my lower lashes, I'll use my MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara. I feel like my skin looks pretty good, right? I'm going to use the Peach Perfect Loose Powder. This is the Mattifying Loose Setting Powder, and it's infused with peach and sweet fig cream. And I found that this has a little bit of shimmer to it, and it has a cover over the powder itself. So you can control how much powder you release. Like, it's not going to make a mess, and then you can just have the excess in the little cap. And I'm just pressing that over my skin using my Tarte Cosmetics. This is the Powder Player Brush. And like I said, I just get a little bit. And it doesn't leave behind a white cast, which on my skin, I can appreciate that. But it's a light powder, and it tastes like peaches. It does. It's a little bit got in my mouth just now. That's what she said. And just pounce that all over my skin. I can see this being, do you see it looks a little bit on camera, so I can probably say this will give flashback. Yeah, I can probably say it will give flashback because you see, I don't know if you can tell, on camera it looks a little light, like it's reflecting this ashy sheen on my skin. But it tastes good. But the good thing about this is the extra powder that you have, you tap it into the top, but the sifter is covered, and it keeps your powder kind of, you know, nice and secure, which I like. Can't say I don't like it. Since we did use a lot of Tarte products, I think I'm just going to use their lashes as well. These are the Goddess Style. They're cruelty-free lashes, and they're just, I guess, a very subtle style. They give fullness and volume, but nothing too crazy. So I'll go ahead and pop those on the upper lash line area, and I find them to be just a really voluminous, really pretty lash that doesn't overwhelm the look because they're full, but they're not overly long. So I'll just pop those on, and I really like it. I realized that I wasn't filming when I did this, so I grabbed the Make Believe in Yourself palette, again from Tarte, and I grabbed the shade Fairy from the palette, which is this purpley tone, and I dampened my MAC 242 and ran that on my lower lash line area. just to give a beautiful pop of color on that lower lash line area. Then I'm thinking of going in with Crystal, which is more of a pinky light champagne, and just bring that in on the inner lower tear duct. That's a really beautiful shade as well. And then I'll just go in with some lower waterline liner. This is plain old black. It's a Too Faced liner. I think this is discontinued, so any black liner at all will do. Alright, now let's move on to the rest of the face. Since this Tarte palette has kind of contour bronzy shades, I'm going to go in with the shade Timber, which is the darkest shade from the palette. And, ooh, that's a bit intense. This is a NYX brush, and I'm just using this to do a little bit of contouring. Okay, that's an intense shade. I might need to back it up a bit. I should have known better, because a lot of the Tarte contour products that I have are a lot more intense than I expect. You would think I would know better, but here we go again. But they blend out pretty nicely. And that color, even though it looks pretty warm in the palette, actually does a really good job of contouring. Okay, I see you, Tarte. I'm gonna add a little bit of that to my hairline as well. That will help to counteract some of the ashiness from the rest of the face products. So where I look just a little bit too pale, this color will help to bring some dimension back to my face. And I'll pull a little bit of that down by my neck as well. I have noticed for myself that I don't really venture out with blushes, so I'm going to do something a little bit different than my typical. I'm going to grab Petal Power. This is a mineralized blush from MAC, and I'm going to pop that on my cheeks. Now, this looks pink in the pan, but when you apply it, it's very golden, which is not what I was going for. This is why I don't venture out. You see, this is why. That's very shimmery. Okay, so that's gonna work as our highlight. So we're gonna do highlight first. So we're gonna go ahead and use a different blush color. This is Lantana from Becca. It's one of their mineralized blushes. It's a beautiful like blood orange shade. It is a lot red and a lot orange. So it's not either or, it's just a mix of the two, and it's a really beautiful shade. The brush I'm using is actually a Chikuhodo brush. This is the T4. It was from the Tessihu and Takemori collection. I hope I'm saying that right. At least I hope I got close to it. I doubt I'm saying it right, but hopefully I got close to it. But I got my name etched on it. Isn't that cool? So I got, yeah. I was totally going to do a different color for the highlight, but that works as well. For the lips, I'm going to use one of the new Makeup Forever shades. This is 505. They release new shades for their line for fall. And, okay, it looks stupid right here, but this is a deep burgundy. The formula, once I glided it over my lips, it feels so smooth and velvety, and it's so pigmented. Their original shades of these were mostly pale, neutral shades, very light pinks, very light nudes. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the formula because they felt a little bit thinner. But this time around, this shade surprised me because it applied so smoothly. It's very creamy and it's a little bit more dense. It feels like a lip cream over like a liquid lipstick. It's not like runny or watery. And I'm applying this and I didn't need to re-dip to get the full opacity. And with darker shades like these, they tend to go patchy and you tend to have to layer them up. This one is kind of almost foolproof. It glided on, it's set down, I didn't have to reapply, it's not patchy. This is the first time I'm trying this shade, and this is the first one I'm trying out of all their new shades that they just released. And I'm very happy with it. Now I'm excited to try the other shades. So, oh yeah, I like this. And it goes with my hair color. It's very fall, very deep. It's very wintry, so I really like how it's all tying everything together. And now to finish everything up, we're going to set everything in place with the Too Faced Peach Mist. This is a mattifying setting spray. Again, infused with peach and sweet fig cream. I'm going to shake it up and then spritz it. Okay, it's a little bit, it's not a fine mist. It's not a fine mist. All right. So So I'm going to hold it really far out. And it smells like peaches for sure. It tastes like peaches. Is that safe to get in my mouth? Woo! I'm not sure that's safe to get in my mouth, but it tastes like peaches. Anyway, it's a mattifying setting spray. It doesn't have a fine mist, like I said, so you have to be careful with how you spray it. Kind of hold it farther out, and then I'm just gonna tap out any excess, which I didn't really get a lot of any excess on my skin. Okay. And it doesn't feel tightening. A lot of mattifying sprays can feel tightening. I feel it though, like I feel it setting my skin, but I don't feel any severe tightness. Alright guys, so here is the finished look, and I must say, I love how this turned out. I am the most impressed. Like, I think the lips really brought it home, especially with my hair color. Like, it tied everything together. It made this look sing. I love this. But I also really love the shimmer shades. Not the touch and soul thing, because I had so much issue with glitter all over my face. Like, I was spending so much time removing extra glitter that was just going all over my face. But this cream shadow from Feather River Beauty, Heather did a really good job with this. I am not getting transfer. Like usually with shimmer shades, when I blink, I would get transfer into my crease. But this is staying put. It's really shimmery. Like it looks like an actual powder shimmer eyeshadow, like a frost shadow. But it's a cream and it dried down, no creasing. No, nothing. So I really love that as well. And I even really liked how this palette performed. I love an all matte palette. Take that for what it's worth. If you're into Tarte eyeshadows, this is probably a good one to pick up. But with the holiday season, who knows what else they're gonna come out with. But yeah, that's it for me. As usual, I'm gonna leave a full list of the products used and mentioned in this video down below in the description box, along with links on where you can pick them up. Those links happen to be affiliate links, which means if you make a purchase through those links, I do get a sales commission off your purchase. That doesn't mean I'm directly affiliated with any of the brands or the stores. I just get my links generated through Sephora and Ulta. So thank you so much if you use my links. If you're not comfortable with that, then definitely go ahead and shop how you normally shop. But if you do shop through my links, thank you so much for the support because it does help me to put back into the channel. I will also leave links to my Instagram and Twitter page where you should definitely be following me along. And on to my next video, which will be very soon. I'll talk to you. Bye guys.